to immigrationquestion.com, your go-to resource for U.S. immigration insights. We provide clear immigration news and information. Our platform provides a network of licensed attorneys who can answer your questions and guide you through the process. From visas to green cards, asylums to citizenships, immigrationquestion.com helps you to network with immigration attorneys so that you can move forward with confidence. Sign up today or download the app. Free registration, limited time offer. Stay tuned. We go live in 30 seconds.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live webinar brought to you by immigrationquestion.com, a networking platform, and meeting ground where individuals, families, and licensed immigration attorneys come together to engage, learn, and exchange insights on U.S. immigration developments. My name is Nikita Bahadur, and I'll be your host for today's heartfelt and informative discussion. From family to freedom, navigating family-based petitions with confidence. For many immigrants, family-based petitions represent far more than just paperwork. They are the foundation of unity, hope, and a sense of belonging. Yet evolving immigration policies, stricter evidence requirements, and extended processing times have made the process feel increasingly complex and uncertain. This session is designed to help you move forward with confidence by understanding the main steps, anticipating possible challenges, and preparing your case well from the very beginning. To guide us through this meaningful conversation, we're joined by Attorney Natalie Womack, a respected immigration attorney based in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and licensed in the District of Columbia. Attorney Womack has led the law office of Natalie Driver Womack since 2011, providing compassionate and strategic immigration counsel, family-based and employment-based cases, as well as removal defense and naturalization. She is fluent in both English and Spanish, bringing depth and empathy to her practice. Attorney Womack, welcome back to the series. We're always pleased to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Before we begin, a quick but essential reminder. ImmigrationQuestion.com is not a law firm, but does not provide legal advice, guidance, or representation. This platform serves as a meeting ground where individuals and organizations can learn about immigration topics, ask their immigration questions free, and engage with licensed immigration attorneys who participate independently. To our viewers, it's about to get very interesting. Grab your writing pads and pens and share the link with your friends. If you have not subscribed, now is the right time to do so. Just click the subscribe button and you're all set. Now let's begin today's discussion. Attorney Womack, could you break down the main differences between immediate relative petitions and family preference categories, and why these distinctions matter for processing times and visa availability?
Okay, sure. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And Immigration Question, thank you for having me. I truly enjoy my time here. And I just want to set out as a caveat, I wish I did speak Spanish. I do not. But I do have a lot of friends who can translate in the event that it's needed. So I just wanted to make sure people are aware of that. But with regards to the question, the difference between the immediate family member and the extended family members or the family preference, there are a lot of distinctions. And whenever I'm thinking through things, I like a chart. So I consider it like a pie, right? And there are two different routes. So when you're talking about the immediate family member, that is the one that is kind of on the best side, okay? And that's the IR, the immediate. And I think about the sense of who gives you wisdom, who do you lay with, and who do you make a legacy with or make a legacy out of, okay? So individuals who you petition for, who are your family it would be your parents. So your parent is an immediate family member. So that's the person who gives you wisdom. And if you think about it with your head, right, your wisdom. Then the person that you make a life with that's parallel to you is your spouse, okay? And that's another immediate family member. And then when you think of it below, when you have kids and a woman is giving birth, that is her legacy, who she's leaving to this world. And the individuals who she leaves to this world, who are, with a caveat, they have to be under 21. They are deemed immediate family members, okay? And that leaves you in the IR category. Individuals who are outside of the IR category that are family members are maybe that same child that has reached the age of 21. It could be a sister or brother. It could be individuals who are family, but they are not the person who gives you wisdom, who you lay with, or who you have created in this world. So at that point, that becomes the distinction, okay? With the IR, the individuals who are immediate to you, there is no wait for the visas. It's more immediate, it's quicker, okay? So that's always the best scenario when you're applying. Then individuals where it's more so the extended family, that will take time. You will have to make sure visas are available, and it will be a wait time. So that is the main distinction between immediate family member and then the family preference. Hope that helps.
Yes. And what are the most common reasons USCIS issues requests for evidence or denies family-based petitions? And how can applicants prepare stronger filings from the start?
Okay, that is a great question. So I think the denials, and there's RFEs, okay? So the first thing that you have to know is that an RFE or silence does not mean no, okay? And I understand I'm not in the situation where I'm petitioning for citizenship, so I don't like to say you should or this is the way you should feel, because guess what? I'm not there. But as your attorney and as an attorney, I have seen the process of it. So when it's silent, don't get worried. When you get an RFE, don't get worried, okay? What an RFE does is basically like a yellow light when you're driving a car. It's saying caution. Hold on, there may be a problem before we can go through and get a green light, okay? So if any part of that is as a result of the fact that information submitted, they're saying is somehow incomplete. But again, incomplete does not mean no, okay? So some of the things that you see that are the most common may be kind of almost like stylistic or administrative errors. Maybe the wrong form was used, okay? If the wrong form was used, the incorrect payment, or either how you paid, okay? At one point, you could combine all of your filing fees into one check. You cannot do that now. You have to do each individual check for your fees. So if you were to get an issue with an RFE or any part of an issue with USCIS, that could be part of it. It could also be maybe a signature was not signed on one of the forms. It could be a various sense of things with regards to the RFE. Now, also with that RFE, you can get an option and they'll say, yellow light, slow down, we have some additional questions. And you can rectify, you can answer those questions. And those same issues could also be a denial if too many of those issues are present in your filing. So I think one of the biggest things that I would say under this administration, it is very important to have a competent attorney to work with you with your case. And when I'm working on a case and when I'm dealing with individuals, it's not just simply that you've hired me and I'm going to go do this thing for you, right? This is your life, so I'm listening to what you need and what you would like. So this becomes somewhat of a partnership, and we're working on it together. You're making sure that I have the documentation that I need. I'm making sure that I'm prepping it and making sure that it is sound and clear as possible so that we don't get an RFE, so that we don't get a denial. But an RFE is not the end of the world. A denial is not the end of the world. You still have to just simply prepare yourself. But those are the main things.
Thank you. So how have recent policy updates or processing changes in 2025 affected family-based petitions, especially regarding interview scrutiny, documentation, or case backlogs?
Right. So I think what we all have to realize is this is a new administration. So with a new administration, no matter what their stance is on politics or on immigration. Once you have a change of individuals sitting in a seat, it's going to take time. Certain things are delayed, there's certain problems, and as a result, you're going to see like backlogs coming, right? So one of the major things is the fact that we have seen backlogs. There are a lot of backlogs with regards to USCIS processing, and there are a lot of backlogs when you're dealing with the consular's office. So that is kind of the main aspect. And with regards to policy changes, the policy changes is that they are vetting things more astutely. Okay, so with that also adds to the level of processing time. So if you're submitting a family-based petition and you're saying I'm married, then they are going to truly vet and scrutinize whether or not you are truly married. Okay, and that is one of the reasons why I think it's very important to have an attorney that you're working with. Now, I did a talk with some individuals today, and we were talking about exactly that. They said, "Do you need an attorney to, do your paperwork?" And the answer is no. Even if you were in criminal court and you wanted to represent yourself and you had committed a crime, you can stand there and you can represent yourself. But is it smart, right? You need to check the temperature. Is it smart to do that? And one of the things that you want to make sure is that your paperwork is sound, because delays are going to be there just because there's a change of administration. Then there's also going to be the fact that everything is going to be vetted more severely, whether or not it's in country or outside of the country. We see that with the consular processing. Delays are happening there as well. So just know that those are one of the major things that I am seeing as a result of the policy change. Also, another aspect is the public charge document, and not the public charge document, but making sure that you are not a public charge. You have to show that you have enough money to ensure that you will not be a public charge on the U.S. government. And a public charge means that there's someone here in the country, you're applying, and then if you do not have enough money to show that you do not need government assistance, they deem you a public charge. So that is something that they are scrutinizing. And when I say they, USCIS, the State Department, all government is vetting a lot harder. So those are the major things that I am seeing.
Mhm. And what should sponsors understand about the affidavit of support, Form I-864? And what options exist for petitioners who don't meet the income threshold?
Okay. I think this is a great question because this is the highest and most probable thing that can get you denied. Okay. So I always say it's show me the money, and that's what the government wants. They want you to be able to show the money because they do not want someone to become a public charge. And we talked about that. A public charge is that you're going to need government assistance. The biggest thing that you have to realize is that it's a very scrutinized document to make sure that you can show them the money, because it is a contract between the individual signing it and the government. So the individual signing this affidavit of support is saying, I, as a U.S. citizen, lawful permanent resident, or green card holder, will make sure that the individual who I am now sponsoring will not be a public charge to this government. And I am signing a contract and I'm binding, and if there's a problem, they can sue you and require you to pay for the immigrant that you have sponsored. So it's nothing to enter into lightly, but you have to be very mindful that this is a contract with the U.S. government to say that I have enough money to support the individual who I am now petitioning for. Now, when you are petitioning under the I-864, there are income requirements, okay? There's a chart. So you're looking to see how many people are in your household. If you have 2 people in your household, it will tell you the exact amount that you have to show on your tax returns, okay? Now, it's 125% above the poverty line index if you're the average citizen, okay? If you are a military individual and you are petitioning, it's only at 100%. So the income amount is a little bit lower. And these amounts are not heavy amounts. So if you were to look at the charts, don't be concerned as to what you're going to find. And they're all on USCIS. And that amount is how much you have to show with regards to what you bring in each year. Now, if you don't have enough money, again, there's a second option. You can have a joint sponsor. And when you have a joint sponsor, you need to make sure that you're very honest with the individual because, again, as we stated, it is a contract with the federal government. You are saying that you will sponsor and make sure that this person will not become a public charge, will not need any form of government assistance. So the individual who is being that joint sponsor, you have to also think about how many people are in their household, right? Because however many people are in their household will determine how much of the bottom line that they will have to show in their tax returns. If you can show them the money, then there is no problem with your affidavit of support. But that must be thought through. It can't just be something where you're like, oh, I make enough money. It's like, yeah, the number is there, but how many people are in the households? Are you sure you have the right form? So those are the things to be very mindful of because that is what the most prevalent reason petitions are denied, as well as not showing all of your joint evidence that you have joined in a union if you're doing it through marriage.
Mhm. And how can families decide between adjustment of status and consular processing? And
Okay,
what key timings or eligibility factors should guide that decision?
excellent question. So again, I think about it as the pie. There's like two options, right? The adjustment of status is in country, okay? And then the other side is the consular processing, and that's outside of the country. Okay, so one thing to note is, again, I said it's important to find an attorney. And one thing that comes up a lot is I think we're an amazing subject matter because any attorney that you want to work with, no matter what state, you can work with them because we have international practice ability. No matter where we're barred, because it's federal, we can practice anywhere, okay? Meaning anywhere in the country. And if you have someone that you want to bring into the country through consular processing, we can do it. So again, this left side with the, as always, even when we talked about our first question, the IR, we were over here to the left. And part of that is like the faster lane, right? If your adjustment of status, it is the faster lane. It's because you're already in the country. And it is a one-step process. It can be two, but I never suggest that it's two. And especially right now, I always would say that it needs to be a two-step process, meaning concurrent filing. That means you're doing your I-130 and your I-485 all at the same time, as well as a whole bunch of other documents that gives you work authorization. It gives you the ability to travel, all of those things in country, a lot quicker, concurrent filing, one-step process, quick, right? So that's the quick, fast train. Consular processing is slower, a lot slower, okay? And this is if the individual that you're petitioning for is outside of the country. So here, this is a two-step process. So I think of it almost as a long, slow dance because the first step is that you're applying now to the State Department. You apply, you just simply do your I-130 and then you wait. You got to wait for a long time. You're probably going to call your attorney about 500 times, but it doesn't mean that he or she didn't do what they were supposed to do. We're just waiting on the approval from the National Visa Center, okay? Then after you get your approval, you do your second step. And your second step is when you submit all the information that's very similar to what's over here, the I-485, okay? It's very similar to that, but you're doing that a lot later, okay? And here you're checking on timelines, what country you were in, because some countries may move faster than other countries with regards to their processing. It is a cheaper process with filing fees, but it is a lot longer. So that is the major difference. The quick, fast process, in country, one-step filing, concurrent, quick, fast. Consular processing, slow, two steps. It's a slow dance. So those are the major two differences. But both can be successfully done. But especially right now, under this administration, have an attorney, right? And part of that is having an attorney and making sure that your information is submitted in accurately and correctly. But even having an attorney, some things can go wrong, but it doesn't mean no, but it would be able to quickly reassess and figure out what needs to be done. But those are the major differences, time and availability.
Thank you, Attorney Womack. And to everyone joining us live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and other platforms, thank you for being part of this essential conversation. Whether you're an H-1B professional navigating uncertainty or an employer seeking clarity, this discussion is about awareness, preparation, and informed decision making. Suppose this is your first time joining us. welcome. ImmigrationQuestion.com is a networking platform where immigrants, families, and employers can ask their immigration related questions free and engage directly with licensed immigration attorneys. You can participate in any language, and many users may also qualify for a free confidential consultation. We're also proud to share that immigrationquestion.com is now BBB accredited, a recognition of our ongoing commitment to transparency, accountability, and service to immigrant and business communities across the United States. Attorney Womack, as an immigration attorney with experience in family-based and employment-based cases, what are your thoughts on how a platform like immigrationquestion.com is helping immigrants and attorneys network effectively?
Well, I've been working with Immigration Question for maybe almost like 6 months going on. It's been a good amount of time, and I truly like the platform for a lot of reasons. But the main reason is because sometimes individuals are stuck in their head and they have a question, they have, I don't know, and you're just walking around every day with something heavy that's on your heart or on your mind, that if you had a quick answer to that question, you could possibly plan better or move better in your life. So I think what it does is it clearly connects individuals who need to know with resources. And I think it's exceptional because you're working with individuals and attorneys who have been vetted by professionals who know what they're looking for within an industry and within a particular practice area. So I can't say enough about Immigration Question, and I love everyone who's here, and Hyra, I love Hyra. Hi, Hyra. I work with her a lot. So it's a great platform. I love it.
Thank you so much for that perspective, Attorney Womack. Before we get into our live Q&A, what practical strategies would you recommend for families to stay confident, organized, and proactive as they navigate longer waiting times and evolving immigration requirements?
Okay. So the first thing again, and even I think this is probably the second time during my career that I have said this, because everybody in the legal world, you can represent yourself. You can do whatever you want. But even as an attorney, when I have issues that are outside of my wheelhouse, which will be about all of them, I have friends. I have lawyer friends for each one, right? So if I have like a contract issue, I'm calling my contract lawyer friend. I'm never going to walk in and say, I'm the attorney for this matter, because I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I don't. So I concede to that. So I say with all certainty that if you're in this process and you're petitioning now under this administration, you need an attorney. I would not do this. And I understand that money can sometimes stop and keep you at bay. But the reason why Immigration Question is good is because you can connect with Immigration Question. You can connect with attorneys who may tell you, maybe right now is not the time to move on your immigration issue. You have an immigration issue, but maybe you can stay with this visa. Maybe you can do this XYZ thing that will not cost you any money, and maybe wait to another administration to apply, right? So that is one of the major things that I think is very important. Make sure that you are connected with people who are in the field. Don't stay in your head, have a conversation. Then if you are in the process of applying and you do apply, make sure, put yourself in the person's situation who's receiving your paperwork. Make sure that the attorney that you're working with, and if you're going to do it yourself, although I'm telling you, please don't do it yourself. I don't think it's a good idea right now. In a couple of years, you can, but not right now. If you're going to do it yourself or you're working with your attorney, make sure what they're submitting is an excellent cover letter. Because you have to understand, there are people who are working, I don't know how many hours a day. They flip that packet open, and if your stuff is not organized and on point and tight, they are annoyed, okay? And they're people, right? Everyone is working, and you want to make their life easier. So you make sure that that cover letter quickly flips them to the information that you're trying to show them. Then the next thing quickly flips them to the next thing. And I think it's important when you're working with your attorney that it becomes a partnership, because you want 2 or 3 sets of eyes on your information, right? You want to figure out, is there something that maybe I'm not thinking about that should be here? Even for me, I have been working in this field for a while, but I have a mentor. I will tell her the scenario and I will tell her the information that I'm going to submit, and she'll say, hey, you're missing this. So it's very important to have those conversations. Keep a timeline. If you have questions and something is at USCIS, call them. I know it's not the easiest to get through, but try. Call them, email them, ask questions, stay very informed. Coming to webinars like this, anything in your community so that you stay on top of things, that would be what I would tell anyone who is petitioning right now, just to stay very aware.
Thank you. So if you're just joining us, we've been in an engaging and informative discussion with Attorney Natalie Womack on the topic From Family to Freedom, Navigating Family-Based Petitions with Confidence. We're now opening the floor for our live Q&A session. This is your chance to ask questions directly to a licensed immigration attorney. You can drop your questions in the chat or call us live on 516-703-3483, and we'll address as many as possible during the segment.
And I won't bite. Pretty easy.
Okay, so our first question is, they tell me my I-130 is approved, but I read USCIS can still send deportation papers. How can they do that after approval?
Oh, okay. So they can. So an I-130 is an approval of your status of the relationship that you have established. Okay. So the I-130 basically says my relationship with the head, with the person that I lay with, or the person that I have created in life, right? I have petitioned and you have agreed that that relationship exists. The only paperwork that is needed for the head is a birth certificate, right? The person that you lay with is a marriage certificate. The relationship with the person that you have had is a birth certificate. So if that information is submitted and is accurate, they can't deny your I-130, right? And again, with the marriage, you have to show that joint relationship. Sometimes there's more. In each scenario, there may be a little bit more, but that's just showing your connection with the person, okay? The I-485 is your adjustment of status. It checks your eligibility of whether or not you're eligible to adjust your status. So that would go into the gamut of what is your background? What are the things that maybe you may have on your record? This is doing a full vetting of you as an individual. And there may be things that are contained within your background that make you inadmissible or ineligible for citizenship. So that is one of the main reasons why I say that it is very important to do that fast track if you're in the country, because it's quick, fast, and they're looking at everything. Your relationship with the I-130, and then whether or not you're eligible and admissible with the I-485. So if you have that I-130 and now they're coming in and they're saying that you have, you probably have gotten a notice from immigration court. And if that is the case, then that does mean that you're in deportation proceedings, and do not take that lightly, okay? Because there could be certain things that you can do, and there's certain things that you could possibly argue in court. But if you don't say anything, you don't go, there will be an order of removal, and it will happen in what is deemed absentia. And that means without you being there, it will be the fact that you are ordered removed. And if you do anything where someone runs your name, and they run your name and they see that you have an order of deportation, you are automatically detained. This is not at all, these factors are not stated to provide fear. It is meant to tell you that there is an awareness and you need to act, okay? And you can find individuals who will give you like a consult to have that first opportunity to figure out, is there anything that you can do, but you want to handle that order of deportation? They can, even though you have an I-130, they can do that. So just make sure you go ahead and act as soon as possible. But that was a great question. Thank you.
Thank you. So our next question. Will USCIS do more marriage couple interviews now? I'm scared of an interview. Please, what can they ask?
Ooh, yes, yes, and yes. So they can do more interviews. They will do more interviews, okay? Because that is the policy change, okay? So when I tell my clients, just like if you are accused of a crime, Our system says that you're innocent until proven guilty. But we know that sometimes when you attach someone's name to someone, you're going in that courtroom proving you are innocent rather than everyone assuming that you're innocent. Okay? It is the same thing when you submit your paperwork to USCIS. Okay? They are going in with the fact of they're trying to defraud us. You're like, I just said hello. I just submitted my paperwork, right? Now, what you do is you go into overdrive of debunking the fact that they believe that it's fraud, right? So you show the marriage certificate, you show that you have a joint account, you show that your pictures, you show the fact that you have insurance, you show all these factors to the point where you overlay so much information that you bury the thought process that it's fraud, because that is what you are going against. It's not a comfortable feeling, but of course you need to be aware. So the interviews will happen, okay? So the type of questions that they could ask you, they're going to ask questions to ensure that you are physically, emotionally, and mentally invested into your partner, right? So if you think about it emotionally, okay, who wakes up first? Who has coffee first? What color is their toothbrush? What side of the bed do you sleep on? What color are your sheets? Where did you live the last 5 years? Those are the things to determine whether or not you are physically invested, okay? Emotionally invested. They'll ask questions. So when was your anniversary? What do you guys do for your anniversary? What are some of the things that he or she likes or dislikes, okay? Then financially, I see you have an account here, but I don't see any movement with the finances here. I just see that there's money here. So you don't share your finances? Oh, I see that you have insurance, but they're not one of the beneficiaries, right? So that is all the things that they're going to ask you and potentially scrutinize, whether or not it's in the interview process, but it will also be it could also be in looking in your paperwork. So those are the types of questions. Now, if it's a Stokes interview, they can separate you and they will ask you very similar questions. They will ask you the exact same questions to vet what answers they will get from both individuals. If certain things start coming back where it does not make sense, where of course you should know what sheets and what color your sheets were last night because you are married and you slept in the same bed, correct? Right? So that's what you're going against. You just have to think about it as the fact that you're being cross-examined the minute you submit your paperwork, but it does not mean fear. It is simple awareness. You're assumed a fraud and you're being cross-examined. Once you already set that that's the stage, then you just keep proving and you proven. And it's simple and easy, especially if you're doing it in truth. I always say live your truth. If you're truly married, you truly love each other, just sit back and let me tell them your love story. That's how I look at it versus, oh no, like, no, we're going to tell them your love story and it's so overwhelming that it will be fine.
Okay, for our next question.
Sure.
If my sponsor lose their job or income, will USCIS stop my green card process?
That's a very interesting question. I think that person has stumped me a little bit here, Lucia. All right. I don't know. I think that's a great question. Here's what I will say about it. And, all attorneys, they may act like they know everything. No, we don't. Okay. We'll just act like that. So what I'm telling you logically, what I would do if I had that situation happen to you or my client, I would start looking and researching the fact of, all right, we have something pending. We have a sponsor. What my first thought is that we now go into overdrive and get another sponsor. Okay. So we go into overdrive, we get another sponsor, then we get ready and we resubmit paperwork to let them know, because that is the biggest thing. They want to know that you, Lucia, if you're the person who's being petitioned for, will not be what is deemed a public charge. You're not going to come knocking on the government's door saying, I need this, I need that. So we would just have to work to make sure that we have another sponsor, but you would not want to leave it there. You would want to make sure that it's clear that you will not be a problem for them financially. And when I say them, because I don't like open pronouns, I'm talking about the government. The government wants to make sure that they are not going to be responsible for you. So I would go into overdrive, submit a new documentation to show that you will not be.
Okay, for our next question. If USCIS deny my I-130 now, Can I appeal or only file again?
So you can appeal or you can file again. But I had someone who came to me. I didn't submit their paperwork, but there was a denial, and it became a question of whether or not we would appeal or file again or see if there was another form of filing. I would like to talk to that individual directly to get situational awareness to their life. Okay? Because I think that will depend whether or not I think that it needs to be a new filing or whether or not it needs to be an appeal. My first thought is that I would have to look at the situation, because even for the one client that did happen, we took a whole completely different another route. We took VAWA. She had actually been a victim of domestic violence. So even though she had her I-130, she had a denial. We understood there was a denial, and we understood that there wasn't going to be a way that we could submit an I-130 and have it approved because there was already a tumultuous relationship, and we went ahead and we did VAWA. So I would want to know more about your situation to determine what my next action would be, but those are options. But just know that USCIS is not like you reapply or you appeal and they don't know that happened. They're going to know. Okay, so when you come in again, you want to come in and you come in correct, you come in right with a tight package.
Okay. Next question. What can we do now to lower risk before interview or before filing so USCIS will not deny or send NTA?
Very excellent question. So, and I think someone asked about an interview too. Also, there are attorneys, and I do this for individuals, even if I have not done their paperwork. Even if I have not done their paperwork, I can still do, and I still will do consultations for anyone and still work with them through the interview process, okay, to get you prepped for the process. Can you read me that question one more time? I want to make sure that I'm hitting all the areas because this is a lot. Go ahead. Could you read it for me one more time?
Sorry, can we put the question back on the screen? What can we do now to lower risk before interview or before filing so USCIS will not deny or send NTA?
Okay, so that's two parts. And the reason why it's a lot is because before the filing and before the interview. So before the filing is a completely different phase. Okay, so before the filing, I always say make sure that you're not just so stovepipe and laser set on, I need to get through this immigration process and get approved. You need to show that you guys have a life together, right? So that interview process, that approval on paper is easy, and the interview process is easy as well. So if you're dating and you're expending money trying to, I don't know, move in together, maybe you're living together and maybe part of your income is part of that lease, part of his income is part of that lease, then you want to start lining up and showing that paperwork so that when you come to the interview, some of those questions are already taken care of because of your paperwork is just that immaculate, right? And you have that much evidence. Now, if you didn't have that when you're going to the interview, or if you did have that when you're going into the interview, the next step is continue to live your truth and enjoy each other. Okay. So before my clients get ready to go into the interview, we have a consultation and we're walking through their paperwork. We're making sure everything that they have submitted, they're aware of what's submitted on the paper. They will be notified of, like, I think there will be a question here. I think this may be an issue, or either make sure you keep account of this. I'm also very aware of my clients. She doesn't remember dates correctly, so I will tell her husband, make sure she's tight on that day. If you have to write them down and set them to memory, make sure you are good on your dates, okay? Then I tell them, now relax, have dinner, enjoy yourselves, walk through your romantic relationship so that you can see all the joys that you have encountered together, all of the hardships and all of the things that you have surpassed and risen above, right? Because that connection and that vision and that history in your romance will come off in the interview room. Don't go crazy kissing on each other because that's a red flag. That's just weird. You know what I mean? But I'm saying just make a real, true, soulful connection and enjoy each other. Okay? So that is the biggest thing with regards to the interview. Now, I also tell my clients logistically, right? If I were going to take a major test, if I were going to do anything, I would get situationally aware to where my interview space is located, right? You understand that if you put it into the map that day, the day before, this is when the mom comes into me, right? So like you'll put the address in and it says, all right, it takes 30 minutes. It's like, it may not take you just 30 minutes to get there, okay? So you now buffer in a whole hour to make sure that you're there, maybe an hour and a half, because you want to be sitting in the waiting room, getting comfortable in your environment to make sure that you're good to go into your interview space, right? And again, mom comes in overdrive. You need to have your clothes laid out. You need to make sure that you don't have on bulky jewelry. You need to be able to go in and out with ease because you have to know that you're going to have to get wanded down and all that kind of stuff. You don't go in with extraneous things, right? So that's the logistics of it, right? So you make sure that your logistics is square. You make sure that you're mentally right and that you're ready to go into the room and you look presentable. That is very important. If something is important to you, you arrive, again, this is mom, you arrive looking good. Okay. So those are the major things of the interview. And at that point, your interview will be fine. Even if someone is looking at you and scrutinizing you harder, if you are truly in love and it's truly the person that you love, you will come off being confident because it's like, even if you don't tell me my marriage is valid, we know we're valid. We just may have to do this again. So you keep that mindset and mentality. Don't let the process overwhelm your connection.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question. Okay. Will all these changes now make it hard to get fee waivers or other help when we cannot pay?
That's a very good question. It depends possibly on what it is, right? So fee waivers, for instance, for like VAWA. For VAWA, there is no fee because they understand that you're dealing with abuse. There are certain things, so you don't have to really worry about that because you're already in a stage of that, okay? But now when you're talking about the fee waivers, you also want to make certain that you understand this process, right? In those documents, especially the I-485, they're trying to make sure that you will not be a public charge because you have to show them the money, okay? So logically thinking about this, you can still ask for your fee waiver, but no, money is always an issue. I don't think that it's going to make it harder for you to obtain a fee waiver, but with everything, they're scrutinizing things more, right? So I think that it probably will be scrutinized more, but it does not mean that you would not be eligible for a fee waiver. So again, ask for what you want, but make sure when you ask for what you want, that package is tight and that you are truly knowing what you're asking for and how to ask for it. You don't want to tap the government more than you have to right now. You want to do it effectively and meticulously when you do it the first time.
Thank you so much, Attorney Natalie Womack, for your time and thoughtful insights. Your practical advice on family-based petitions, from understanding categories to strengthening filings, has given our viewers real tools to move forward with confidence. And to all our participants, thank you for joining us. We hope this discussion helps you plan, stay informed, and manage your applications with confidence. Remember, you can always visit immigrationquestion.com to ask your immigration question for free and connect directly with licensed immigration attorneys. If you'd like to revisit today's discussion or share it with others, the full replay will soon be available on Spotify. Just search Borderless Talk by immigrationquestion.com. Join us again on Wednesday for another informative session on immigration policy and updates shaping the path to opportunity in the United States. Once again, thank you, Attorney Womack, and thank you to everyone watching. Until next time, stay informed, stay prepared, and stay connected.